Hey, what's up? It's Trevor. I'm here with Cory at the Rigwell shop, and we're going to be installing the Flyweight bed system on the Flarespace Transit 148.
We're actually attaching the plywood top to the actual trim ring. And how I like to do this, I come underneath and measure here the actual flange of the trim ring. We have about 2¼ inches. So when I go back on top, I want my screws to sit about 1 inch or 1¼ inch evenly all the way around the wood here, so it creates a nice reveal on the trim ring.
All right, so now we are getting ready to put the trim ring up into place, so we can and we have already put a piece of tape in there to show how high we need to mount the structural steel for the bed, so it's high enough that we can bolt in our rail brackets, so that after everything is installed, we have a flush line from trim ring across the bed panel into the trim ring. We'll hold it up here and show you how it all fits together. So now you see here with our trim ring in place, we have this piece of tape across the bottom that shows us how high up we'll mount our bed metal. Don't forget to put Rust-Oleum in your new holes. Nice shot. All right, we're starting the bed install, and the first part of that is the structural steel that goes behind the wall panel that the brackets and the rail bolt into. So the metal for the Transit is 14 inches long, and that's so that you can mount it high enough to get a flush mount for your bed platform onto the trim ring, but also so that the brackets, the smaller brackets, fit in the space that they need to go, and then that we still have some metal to be able to rivet into at the bottom. So we already have one side done over here. We've already installed this side. We have the rivets all along the bottom, 2 up top and 2 on the end. And so we're gonna go back over here to the passenger side, hold it up in place in the line that we've already marked, and Cory's gonna start drilling pilot holes for our rivets.
Okay, so now when we're putting our rivets down this lower section, you gotta be really careful with the Transit because the body actually rolls back in, and you can't put a rivet back here. There's nothing for it to catch to. So what you want to do is measure from the floor and find out where there's metal behind here that you can tap into. So just take your measurement, and then you can run a line all the way down through, and that's how you know where to drill your holes.
All right, now this is why we mount the bed metal this high. This is the bracket that your bed panel is gonna go on, your bed platform. And so you have 1 inch of clearance to get up flush with the bottom edge of your trim ring when it's mounted up here. So picture this, you have your trim ring in here with your wall panel. It's all covered up nicely. Where are you gonna bolt this bracket into? You've gotta make sure that your bed metal is up high enough so that, again, your bed platform sits flush with the bottom edge of your trim ring.
All right, next step, we're putting up the wall panels here. Biggest thing you gotta do is not f up and not hit the holes that are behind the actual panel.
All right, so now we've got our wall panels in on both the driver and passenger side with the trim rings. This side, the passenger side, has our high-tech trim rings with USB ports on both sides and the 2 lights overhead. The next step is to install the bed brackets. This is for the bed rail. This longer one with 3 bolt holes in top is for the center. This is where your 2 bed panels will rest and meet in the middle here. 2 shorter ones are for the outside. So this one will go about right here, and the other one will go probably about right here. All right, so now we're installing the brackets, the rear bracket, the front bracket, And then we've got the bigger middle bracket that gets 5 holes. We've pre-drilled with the drill bit that we provide in the hardware kit. We've pre-drilled our 5 holes. Now it's time to use the bolts that we also provide to hang the bed bracket up on this bed metal. Through the wall panel, through the trim ring, into that structural steel that's back there. Good to go.
Okay, we got the brackets all put in on both sides. Next, we need to know how much to cut off our bed panels because we intentionally send them long. So you want to take your tape and put it right up against the bolt head and measure across to the other side and give yourself about a 1/4 or a 1/2 inch. And you want to check each bracket, the back bracket, the middle, and the front, and just kind of get the best you can for all 3.
All right, so now it's time to fit our bed panels in. We know that we've got 64.5 inches of width across from wall panel to wall panel. And we ship these bed panels intentionally long so you can cut them to the perfect size for your van. Right now we have 68.5 inches of bed panel. So rather than taking 4 inches off of one side, leaving us with a funny notch on the end for this rearmost panel, we're gonna take 2 inches off of each end, giving us a 64.5 inch length bed panel. All right, here's our front bed panel. And we know that our measurement is still 64.5 inches. This one is 68.5 inches, but since there are no notches on either corner, you don't have to worry about taking it off of both sides or both ends. You can just take it off of one. So I'm gonna take 4 inches off of this right now and go place it next to the rear panel. And we're gonna have 60 inches of width, and it's a queen size bed in the back of a Transit.
Hey, look at that.
All right, guys, we just finished installing the bed platforms, and the last piece that you have to consider when installing these panels is the carriage bolts. All these brackets have holes for the bolts. We send carriage bolts and wing nuts. Just drop your bolts down through, secure your wing nuts from the bottom, and then I'll make sure that your bed platforms don't go forward or backward as you drive down the road. Sleep sideways. Hey, look at me. I'm Starfish, sleeping sideways in a Transit.